Hello and welcome to episode 68 of the Talking Wednesday podcast. Dex and Punk with you as always. I've got to address it straight away for the video watchers of this podcast. Yes, I do look like one of the Potters. Yes, I am wearing my glasses because my eyes are battering at the minute and my contacts are not helping. So I am wearing my glasses. We'll all get over that like adults. And yes, I got the nerdiest glasses I could find, because if you're going to wear glasses, you might as well wear glasses. So we're all going to live with that. This is the Talking Wednesday podcast, episode 68. How are you this week, Jake? All good?
Not too bad. Very tired, but had an okay week. Became an uncle again over the weekend, which is lovely. Going to meet her tomorrow. And yeah, just slowly getting by and finding out stuff that the bloke I bought this house from is just a moron.
Yes. Building things on plastic and bits of
kitchen tile and using rubber gasket heads. I found at least 100 underneath the cement, and there's like that much cement to that much soil. It's like, that doesn't work. I don't do building, but even I know that's wrong. So,
I've obviously already said this off camera, but congratulations on the new niece, is it?
Yes.
Niece? Yes. Yeah, because I listen, clearly. Yeah, congratulations, sir.
We'll get to meet her tomorrow.
Don't get broody.
It's gonna happen.
Don't do it.
Gonna happen.
You've already got one that tries to break the way into the podcast room whenever we're doing a
But
podcast.
With having second baby would mean I wouldn't be in this room, because it would be baby room. So put it out there.
Do you mean I'd get rid of you? Amazing.
If you wanted to do that, you could just put me under my house. There's a crawl space you could bury me under.
Also, I've got to address it. What are you wearing?
I am wearing a Celtic shirt. I'm going to just wind people up a little bit, because I know some of the Wednesday community are big Ranger fans. Your captain for Wednesday, by the way, is a Celtic fan. And they won the title. And you've got your lovely European trip. You've got to play Seville. So I kind of got a whole
You're the reason all of our players go there.
What? Oh, I'm the reason why they all left and went to Celtic.
It's a bad omen.
Well, to be fair,
sacked. No,
I've got the contract here says that I've got to sign till the end of this podcast, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we will. Maybe somebody on Instagram can ask you to stay, but it won't be me. So he's wearing a Celtic shirt for the
audio listeners. How's your week been?
Very, very tiring. As I said, I'm not sleeping amazingly well because I'm working and then not switching off and then realizing that, when you set your alarm and you're like, that's not a good amount of time that I'm going to be sleeping before I have to be up and do it all over again tomorrow. And I've kind of got myself into that cycle the past few weeks of not really being able to get on top of it. So that's why I think wearing my contacts all day, along with pollen season, along with everything else, has just been like, my eyes have been so run down that like they've just gone, no, you're not putting contacts in. They've been like getting quite red and all that. So I've just been like, right, look after yourself. You're not going to get sleep, mate. So just put your glasses on and still crack on with all the work that you've got to do. So
it's not like you've got any video games you can go play. Cheer for that, Bethesda. Looking forward to playing that.
There's nothing to play, mate. I was so excited for the first time in my adult life. First time in my life, I was an adult at a console launch, really, because, technically the Xbox One came out when I was just starting uni, so I was technically an adult, but you think you're an adult at 18, you're not an adult, right? But, so now, I was like, yes, I can buy these consoles because I've saved for so long because I knew there was a console generation coming around. And there's nothing to play. And it's tragic. It's terrible. And I got an Xbox Series X on All Access, right, mate? Which is like 2 years of Game Pass bundled into the monthly subscriptions you buy. And it'll run out before anything bloody comes out for it. Because they've delayed everything. I don't play Halo. I'm not a Halo person.
I tried Halo, I hate it.
The only first party thing I think I've played is a bit of Forza Horizon, and that was never going to really be a thing that I got obsessed with. I bought the Xbox Series X because they announced the Bethesda acquisition, and yes, I've got it for down the line, but then it's sort of like, you don't know if your console's going to live forever because they don't. It's also a case of like, I knew Starfield was on the horizon. I actually thought we'd get Starfield last year. Really, I thought it would be a bit quicker than that. So yeah, I must say I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed on that. Not that I've got any time to game, but when I do, I like to enjoy it. So
just a bit of breaking news here, because it got talked about on Sunday that the first British current playing footballer who was going to come out as gay. It just broke it. Jake Daniel becomes the first first male professional footballer to come out publicly as gay in more than 30 years. He's a 17-year-old.
Congratulations, 17. So, that's it.
Brave.
Shouldn't really be. It shouldn't really be saying it.
It shouldn't be brave, and it shouldn't be breaking news. It should be you're allowed to come out of whatever. But the fact that he's done it, fair play to him, and I hope he gets all the support he 100% deserves, and I hope it inspires more people to come out.
I'm trying to find out who he is. Is he the lad at Blackpool?
Yes.
Okay. Well, yeah, no. Live your truth, guys. I've always said, live your truth. Yeah. You know, the more, and if any, there's always going to be idiots out there, and he's probably going to get his fair share of him. Everybody gets their fair share of him. But never be afraid because there's idiots out there.
Yeah.
And bloody congratulations to the man for doing it. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because I bet there's a lot of footballers that don't feel in that climate, and because of the chance and everything, don't feel in that climate they can come out. And I don't know. Yes, I'm very much a case of, I don't understand why anyone would have an issue with it in the modern day. Do you know what I mean? It's growing up, I've never really understood it.
No.
And I think it is that sort of generations passing, and you understand things more. But then I do see things come into the, you know, I'm in my 20s, and you see new things appearing, and you see, people in their 20s disagree on this. So people my age are starting to disagree on things that are like social issues. And but I don't think in the next 15 years, the people coming through, that will be less stigmatized, you know, for them. And you do see how it happens. You do see how it becomes a thing. It takes time and it takes progress. And this is a big progression thing in football.
This is a huge progression. It's great to see that you want to say who he is and be celebrated for it and not hide it. And it's great. And in terms of progression, you've got that. And we came second in Eurovision as well, which was insane.
Which also, I ended up watching that after a long day's work on Saturday, right? And I was like, what is happening?
I can never watch Eurovision for obvious reasons. I'd be on the floor.
No, do you know why that's really funny? Because we were in a room with all like South's family, and there was a bit, I forgot about this. There was a bit with a flashing light section, and I just sort of like said out loud to Soph, I went, "That's Jake gone," because they just started blinking like one of the, and I was just like, and she was like, "Yeah, he wouldn't be able to watch this, would he?" And I was like, "No."
So I have in the past we've put like lots of stuff over the TV to try and filter it. Lots of gel pack to try and dense it down. And this year we took one look at it and went, "Nope, I'm not doing that."
It was a laugh, to be honest. It was an interesting evening. That, I mean, where I was watching it, I'm not a flag waver, and there was British flags, and I was sort of like, really? We're taking it this hard? But apparently we are. And it was an all right night, to be fair.
Yeah.
I think Eurovision is something I am destined to watch for the rest of my life, though, now, because Soph enjoys the cheese. So it was quite enjoyable, though, seeing it not being us just hated by everybody, as always, which is usually the case.
Made a nice change.
It did. Anyway, we're not even into the podcast yet because we had a breaking news section.
Yep.
It's thrown me completely off.
Sorry, mate.
I was on my week. My week's been fine. It's been all right. Should be better this week. I'm really still annoyed at Sheffield Wednesday because I plan to be in London this weekend. We've changed the plans. We're going to a different city. It's going to be a bit cheaper. I wanted to see Wednesday get promoted on my birthday. That's not going to happen. So we're just going to go
count on Sheffield Wednesday to ruin your birthday plans.
We're going to go and drink a few cocktails. I think we're going to like a cocktail bar. We're going for a meal. We're going all that. Yes, I like cocktails. Get over it. I personally like getting the most flamboyant cocktail you can find and just drink it around a load of burly men and see how uncomfortable they feel.
Is that with your most flamboyant shirt on as well?
Oh, I've got some great shirts, mate.
I know you have.
They're fantastic.
I still think you and Benjamin Bloom should do a shirt off who've got the most flamboyant ones.
We should do a what, excuse me?
A shirt off where you compare your shirts.
Thank you for clarifying.
Yes, I knew that needed clarification before you even said it.
Oh, God, you know it's depressing seeing the template for this document and seeing League One review and realising we've got another season of that still. That's not going away.
Yep.
Right, let's get into the news. So just a quick bit. Lee Gregory has won PFA Player of the Month. Fans Player of the Month, sorry. There's a difference there.
Yep.
We have... this is unfortunate, but it depends on your take on it, I guess. Jack Hunt on Instagram has tweeted, quote, thoroughly enjoyed my time coming back to SWFC. Unfortunately, we failed to achieve what we set out to achieve. Now my time is focused on being with my family and enjoying some rest. Thank you for your support this season, JH32. That means he's off, doesn't it?
Yeah, to be fair, there's been a lot of the Instagram posts that have been out because a lot of people read Joe Byers as that he might be off. And I didn't read it as that. And we haven't got the retain list out. I think it's got to come out tomorrow, if I'm mistaken. I think there's some sort of rule.
Oh, the day of the podcast.
Yeah, I think there's some rule. I think there's some rule that got to come out by a certain time to do. And it's not out yet. I know a lot of the players have already gone away. I think Windass is away. I think Bannon and Hunt have gone to the same place. So some players you might think are already sorted, but don't read too much into what some Instagram posts are saying because it's very easy to read someone go, well, he's off then. He's off then. And then, you know what I mean?
Yeah. It'll be
a shame because it's been good, but at the same time, I think we need to start looking at a younger squad.
I think there was parts of the season and quite a heavy part of it where I was saying Jack Hunt's legs have gone, right? But then again, I first read this and thought this has got to mean he's off. However, it doesn't actually necessarily mean that, does it? You are right. Because thoroughly enjoyed my time coming back to Sheffield Wednesday. Unfortunately, we failed to achieve what we set out to achieve. Now my time is focused on being with my family and enjoying some rest. Thank you for your support this season. So that could just be the summer.
Yeah.
I read it first of all and thought, oh, does that mean he's winding it down now? And he's going to be... I do think we will have quite a heavy release.
I think they're going to...
That sounded a little bit ominous, didn't it? A heavy release. I think... yes, but I think our retain list will shed some players when we release them.
It's gonna be interesting seeing that list and seeing what's occurring with it to a point because I think there's some players that we kind of all know that's gonna go, but then I think there's also some other players that you think you'll go, yeah, give them that extra year because you got to remember if we went up, Jack Hunt had a clause in his contract that he'd get a year contract. Like, we now know that
yes, he did, yeah, I remember that.
Patterson put something up. Patterson's here for another year. We triggered that 1 year extension with him, which a lot of people have taken it the other way, going, why? But at the end of the day, Patterson can be a game changer at times. But the problem is we didn't find a proper role for him with the squad we've got now, but maybe another because it's another rebuild, let's be honest.
It is, but it's not as extreme this time, which is good.
Yeah.
Depending on, let's actually go into what. So this is a quote from the Star. I believe this is the headline from the Star. Darren Moore to tell Sheffield Wednesday players if they will be released. Recruitment work to begin now. Owls boss Darren Moore will speak to the players who are approaching the end of the contracts at Hillsborough, and only then will he discuss the summer's recruitment plan with owner Deshfon Chansiri and the club's recruitment team. As it stands, high-profile names such as Sam Hutchinson, Massimo Luongo, Jack Hunt and Nathaniel Mendez-Lang are set to leave at the end of June. And while Moore said earlier this month that initial discussions had taken place with one or two players, one of whom the Star understands is Hutchinson, these talks were shelved as the club entered final weeks of the season. Quote, over the course of the season, it was all about the here and now, the Wednesday boss told the Star. I'll let the players have a day or two and then we'll bring them back to have some talks with them. Before that, it's important for myself, the chairman and the recruitment team to get together and have a real good chat. But at the moment, if I told you all that had been discussed, I'd be lying to you. We were always focusing on the here and now. End quote. So, nothing had been set in stone at that point. Yeah. However, by the time this podcast comes out even, we might have the retain list. And I could see all of them going, really. But I could also see us holding on to Hutch. I think Jack Hunt's going to leave.
I think we'll probably keep Hutch and try and make a play to keep Luongo. I think Hunt and Mendez-Lang will be leaving, and I think there might be somewhere we say, you're leaving, but we're going to put you up for sale so we can generate some funds.
I think we need a Mendez-Lang, though.
A fully fit one start of the season, though, yeah.
Yeah. You know, that sort of player.
Well, Berahino, I think Berahino was a year contract, wasn't it? That's another one.
It's interesting that the Star haven't put that in here, actually, because Berahino was until the end of the season.
Yeah.
So, would you give Berahino another deal? Because personally, on what I've seen in the last
couple of months,
since he's been given a chance, he needed to do this. I'd give him a short-term deal. I'd give him a year.
Yeah, give him another kind of year contract, see what happens and stuff. Because I don't think up until the tail end of the season, he was like getting a move anywhere else. It looked like your contract was going to be up at the end of the season, you're gone. But he seemed to have got into that groove again. And it's going to be interesting because a lot of people have been reading articles that the Star and Yorkshire Live have been doing, and they've seen bits with Moore, and people have been going, oh, then Moore's off, then great. It's like, that's not the kind of thing we want. We need Darren Moore to stay because we need to let him build what he's doing, let him continue what he's doing. And I understand there's a lot of reasons why people don't want Moore, and some of them are legit, like the plan B. Sometimes he gets his tactics wrong. But you look at what he did very well considering all the hurdles he had to do. But this squad, it can be interesting because we can keep some of the core of it and then add to it with youth. I think you've got a very good squad here because if we can see a fully fit Adeniran, a fully fit Fizz, and then Iorfa and Windass into that as well, it's going to be interesting because we know where we need to improve. We need defenders and a keeper. And possibly
we were
wingers.
So close to automatics. And I know you do have to reset and keep players on their toes and that. But for me, Berahino and Gregory up front is still a viable option for next. You need another option on the bench. You need probably another starter because Gregory, we don't know if we can keep him fit, right? You need somebody of that sort of quality or better even, or more promising, and you just kill the league off with it, really.
Well, put it this way, Sam Vokes has just signed a new deal at Wickham. And he's in the same class as Gregory. Yeah. You know what I mean? So if they're still willing to give him a new deal and kind of sort it out and they don't know if they're up yet, it's going to be interesting, this list, and what we do in the transfer window, because one of the big things is I've seen that Paxo, people saying, oh, Paxo back. Paxo never left. He just took a bit more of a back seat for a little bit, but he is back in some sort of thing. But I think Emmanuel Paxo's deal were the Canberra.
Didn't we realise it was Paxo?
Pacquiao, yeah.
Didn't we? Wasn't that a thing for our podcast for quite a while?
Yeah. But I think Canberra and So were Pacquiao kind of deals. I don't think that's a Darren Moore deal. That seemed more like a Pacquiao deal. And people said, he's back. He never left. He's still been there. He's just been doing other bits and pieces.
Mm.
And I wonder, and people going, he's back now, he's got money. But you look at what he had done for us in the past. Yes, people don't like some of the things, but he's the reason why we got Zhao. Yes, he wasn't proven at the time, but look at what Zhao's done now.
I get you. And he might be getting sold and we might be getting to sell him. It'd be interesting
That'd be
to
nice.
see. Who are you keeping? Sam Hutchinson, Massimo Luongo, Jack Hunt, Nathaniel Mendez-Lang, and Berahino. Just for fun, if you could only keep one.
Now, I did say I thought Hutt would be the one to go late on, but when you look at what we've got in that back, I think you need to keep him with that kind of rotation of experienced person.
Is he the only one you keep? So if you have to pick one, it's Hutch.
No, if I go pick one, it's Luongo.
This is really hard to say because I know his quality with Luongo, but because of his injury record and his potential wages, for me, it can't be Luongo. Otherwise, it would be Luongo. Out of those, given our options up top, Windass is back.
But he got his injury record as well, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a difficult one.
It's probably Berahino. Because
we've both gone for two players that know that's where we need the most support in the team.
Yeah. It's to be honest, it's weird for me because I was looking between Nathaniel Mendez-Lang and Berahino. Because we need Mendez-Lang can beat a man. He's got pace and he's got flair, and that's the thing that can turn players over.
That's what killed us in the second leg at home versus Sunderland. They had Clark, they had Patrick Roberts, who they got a turn of pace. They had pace, and that's something we haven't had this season.
Let's not talk about Sunderland. I'm still.
I know you're still bitter.
I'm not bitter. I was never bitter. I wasn't. I was quite. Bitter is such a very specific definition. I was accepting, but I was sad.
To take.
Sad.
Yes.
Jake. Sad. Okay. Let's get into the Sheffield Wednesday accounts because thank you for waiting, by the way. I know you wanted us to speak about this for a little while, but there's been so much with the end of the season going on. I know they were published a couple of weeks ago, but Sheffield Wednesday are still hemorrhaging money, so it's important to talk about because it's going to affect quite a bit. The good thing is I didn't have to fully do what I usually do when these accounts come out because it's been a couple of weeks. Everybody's sort of already reported on it, so we can discuss everybody else's work, which is fantastic. We're copying your homework, but we will quote you, of course. The Star have done a really good piece on it. Fair play. They pulled out the key points that I usually pull out with the without me having to look at the numbers. But I have got the accounts in front of me as well. So if I see anything that I want to point out, I will point out. But I will go from the Star article that says, quote, turnover fell by 9.2 million to 11.7 million from the previous 20.9 million in 2020. These are the accounts for the 2021, by the way, so 2021 season. Primarily due to all home games being played behind closed doors. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the team finished 24th in the Football League Championship. As previous, the season before, 16th. Sheffield Wednesday's 2021 accounts explained in the plain English, 500,000 lost per week. We've called in football, we haven't, the Star have, football finance expert Kieran Maguire to drag his expert eye over the Wednesday accounts. It's important to remember these are accounts from last season, which was, of course, played behind closed doors. In plain English, here are the key talking points explained. So what are the headline takes? The eye-catching figure is a loss of 25,780,000, a figure up from 24,084,000, which was the loss in the 1920 season. Over to Kieran, who puts this into context. quote, the main thing here is that the revenue almost halved, and that is certainly linked due to the impact of COVID and almost total loss of match day revenue. The wage bill did come down, but as of last season, they were still spending £209 for every £100 of income. That's scary on two levels. That number itself, but also that there are clubs in the Championship that are in a far worse situation than Wednesday. Sheffield Wednesday reveal latest accounts. I don't know why. The way you've paraphrased this article here, Jake, is fun.
Sorry.
Because Jake's added to this one as well this time. I usually do the accounts. I've had assistants.
Probably not for the better.
Do you know what? I've read all of that. We know all of this. We know that Chancery still owns the stadium.
Yeah.
30 million owed on that, right? He was due to pay, this is from the article again, quote, he was due to pay back 7 million per year, but he paid bigger instalments earlier, partly because the club needed the cash, because of the significant losses. He's already paid four instalments, essentially half of the sale proceeds from the stadium. It's also noticeable that the club has been paying him back in terms of loans, 5.5 million, of which he has relent about half of that according to these figures. The club are still paying around 1.5 million per year rent on Hillsborough. That's something we knew before. Wednesday, you've been stung by financial fair play points deductions before. Is there any chance of that happening here? Panic not, Wednesday fans, though the idea the club will be able to go rampant in the transfer market in the summer may have to be parked.
We kind of knew that. We kind of knew that anyway, because we're still very close to that FFP line kind of thing. And it's interesting, the account this year, because a lot of people forgot that this is the season we went down, and there was a lot of things in that season that happened.
Yeah. Jumping back into the article, the wage bill of 25 million would have to come down to make the club sustainable, probably by another 10 million. And a year in League One may well allow the club to reset. So that's what was said previously. So another year we're resetting again, and the year we've just had we might see it in our revenue. But there is losses in that as well, Jake. Really, because we've not brought the wage bill down completely, because we haven't seen that yet. We haven't seen the League one's going to be interesting to see how much we're currently hemorrhaging, because we were losing £500 million a week last season during COVID, but we've been relegated since then. The suggestion from Kieran Maguire was that Wednesday would be spending somewhere in the region of 14 million or 15 million on wages. The average wage bill in the Championship is 32 million.
And that's going to change from when we went down. Like you said, next season's accounts are probably the ones that are going to be the most important to see what happened in League One.
Yeah. What do you think? What do you think about the losing 500 mil a week? Was it 500 mil? Or was it 500k? No, 500 mil? 500k. Why did I say 500 mil? 500k a week.
I think you got 500 mil from the stadium.
We're getting liquidated, mate. 500 mil a week. 500k.
It's not great, but at the same time, Chancery has shown us in the past he's willing to fund the club. He's willing to keep funding the club. And a lot of people always forget that. They always think his money came from the tuna business, but actually a lot of his money came from construction in Thailand and stuff like that. And he does building work over there. So he knows what he's doing in that kind of sense. So the ideas like redoing the stadium sale and stuff actually makes sense if you think of him as a property developer. In that's his background. So when we were all panicking him doing it, like that's probably nothing to him.
Who did we sell that season, by the way?
Which season? That season we went there?
Yeah. Who did we sell?
We sold someone, didn't we?
Because we made 6.7 million. This wasn't in the article. I'm looking in the accounts now. And for proceeds for the disposal of players employed. This could be just off the wage bill, to be honest. 6.7 million when
Are you sure that's not like Sammy Wynn or Fortieri and all that lot going?
It could well be, yes.
Because it was New Hugh, Winnow, Fortieri, Rhodes.
Clearing up yeah, that makes sense, wouldn't it? Clearing up 6.7 million across the year. That. Carry on.
It's gonna be. As long as Chancery's still willing to bankroll the club, I think we're okay, because I don't think he's going anywhere. I think he's learning a lot better with what he's done. He's seeing what you can do with not having to spend a lot. And the big one is that a lot of the stuff that a lot of people were complaining about was the green aspect in the club. We're replacing to LED floodlights. We're going to be doing more of that kind of stuff as well, which is important. And I was actually speaking to Worko, who got a geography major and stuff like that, and he was talking about it. He said Wednesday could actually make a lot of money by putting solar panels on the roofs and making it a lot more efficient and trying to change it all a little bit. And I'm wondering, it'd be interesting if Wednesday ever did go down that line, just to try and make them more sustainable that way.
There is a bit in it about energy in this document. I will find it. I was not expecting you to sidetrack with the energy talk, to be honest. Did you know, however, we offer a lot of kickstart schemes, 19 apparently, with 89% retention rate on the program afterwards. We do 101 for their BTEC extended diploma in sport. Got links with the likes of Hillsborough College, Chaucer School, Ecclesfield, quite a few on there. I always find these things interesting to read about.
Yeah, it's
I'm proper boring, aren't I?
You know, when you said at the beginning you were getting old and turning into an adult.
As soon as I put the glasses on, mate. As soon as I put the glasses on.
You do look like a bit of an accountant, to be fair.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I mean, I could be called worse, to be honest.
I'm going to say that after me being kind.
Yeah. So, the UK energy use for Wednesday this season, for the season that we were talking about, electricity, this is kilowatt hours, 1,614,000 in kilowatt hours. We've put...
Well, the hike.
Yep. 343 CO2 tons of CO2 we've contributed with that in 2021. That is down from the 2 million kilowatt hours and the 466 tons of CO2 we put into the atmosphere the season before. So COVID got us down 400k worth of electricity usage. In terms of gas usage, 2.8 million in 2020, 515 tons of CO2 into the atmosphere with that one. The season when we were behind closed doors, we weren't keeping things warm. It was 1.6, 293 tons of CO2.
Lad, there's an electric fire in the corner. Huddle around that.
So we've become a bit greener because of COVID. But as you were saying, we could sidestep our energy usage, trying to become a bit greener in that with the solar panels. See how it'd be an interesting take. I know some clubs are looking at that and trying to become more of a sustainable club and going net zero and things like that.
Well,
so a lot of clubs are trying to vow to become net zero.
It also just goes down the line of what Chancellor said. He wants us to be more sustainable in terms of financial. That might be a way you go down to do it.
That's long term. If he's doing that, it's long term, isn't it?
Yeah, but it'd be nice because we don't hear about long term with the club.
True. Right, the big question though, when we're talking about accounts and money and Wednesday losing money, is there going to be, if you've not been following, is there going to be some sort of relief for the fact that we've obviously made heavier losses in that season because of COVID? You've not been able to bring in the profits. Wednesday we were already losing money, but it got worse because, financial fair play. They're still going to be knocking at the door going, oh, you've just lost a lot of money, when it wasn't really Wednesday's fault about the attendances and tickets because of COVID. So this is from inews.co.uk. Interesting. That sounds like a news outlet where people would get their vaccine facts from, doesn't it? But anyway, it seems legitimate. I'm going for the article here. Quote, the Football League has relaxed its financial fair play rules, joining the Premier League in helping clubs to deal with the pandemic's impact. But regulation changes are causing confusion for clubs across the English game trying to prove losses incurred directly by COVID-19. The EFL's regulations have been updated to include a clause permitting its clubs in the Championship, League One and League Two to exclude, quote, COVID-19 costs for the 2019-20 and the 2021 season from their reported expenditure. Appendix 5 of the regulations now includes factoring in, quote, lost rent revenues and or exceptional costs incurred by a club that are directly attributable to the COVID-19 pandemic and that are identified and calculated in accordance with such guidance as issued by the board, end quote. Nice little bit of fine print there for you. This must be subjected to an independent audit and helps ensure their spending is compliant with financial fair play restrictions. More detailed guidance has also been sent to all clubs. Yet where it has become particularly uncertain is clubs attempting to prove potential loss of future earnings due to the pandemic, decreasing the value of their playing squad. So there is bits in there to protect the clubs, but it does seem quite vague.
That sounds about right for the EFL, though, let's be honest. When it comes to their rules.
And I couldn't really see anything standing out in the accounts that would suggest that there was like an FFP amendment or something there.
I think the only thing that a lot of clubs had that season was just revenue in general from not being able to get gates in.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I was trying to look into those accounts to see what if there was anything from like all the iFollow stuff, and I couldn't find anything.
I didn't. To be honest, it might have come under. They might have actually factored that in under match day though, because usually it does come under media and all of them. But ticket sales, it would have come in. All the tickets were virtual that way, weren't they? I didn't see anything stand out in the accounts. Then again, maybe I've been lazier this year. You be the judge. I probably have. We're so late to it. I've probably been lazier.
To be fair, we kind of knew going into this season when the accounts were going to come out. Also, credit to Wednesday, they got them out on time. We haven't done that whole thing where we're waiting. They're out on time. No having to do stuff. We've actually done the right thing, got them out. It just the week you got them out was the day of the day after the Sunderland game or the day of. So people weren't that bothered. But it's the fact when they should be praised for, and people are going to say, why should we praise them for getting something out on time? Because of how bad we have been in the past and not getting them released. And I think that shows another step forward by Chancery wanting to get things in place. Does that make sense?
It does. Yes. I'm looking through these now I'm seeing a lot of things about depreciation, but nothing about media income or we actually our depreciation on certain assets has made more money for us this last season. Probably because we got rid of a 38-year-old Stephen Fletcher. Who
got released again.
Did he?
Yeah.
I did like Stephen Fletcher. He didn't need to leave in the way he did he?
Nah.
None of them players did at the time.
It's interesting because when it comes to the time of year and you see like all the players getting released, every time it's an F20 play, it's like, oh, should we get him back? It's like, why?
Hang on, mate. Don't throw stones in glass houses. That's half of our content and clicks. No,
I know, but there's somewhere
there's going to be a click in that later, probably.
Yeah.
Anyway. And as we speak to all the podcast listeners and watchers of the full-length podcast that never gets this clipped out, you know the game. You know how it works. You guys know that if we've just talked about something in the hour-long podcast you've just watched, probably not to click on it because you know what's coming. So
you've been here for 68 episodes. Surely you know the goes on the doors now.
Exactly. Okay, next item on there, on the news even. Sheffield Wednesday, Plymouth Argyle's Kamara on Owls transfer radar. This is from The Star. Quote, Plymouth Argyle's Panuch Kamara is one name that is thought to have been mentioned at Sheffield Wednesday as they plan for the new season. It was recently confirmed that the 25-year-old midfielder who played 47 times for the Pilgrims in all competitions this season was set to leave Home Park after failing to agree a new deal. News no doubt caught the attention of several clubs. The Star understands that Wednesday are one of a number of clubs that may be considering an approach for the it's Guinean, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's Guinean. I always read that nationality and say it wrong. However, I've said it right. Guinean. However, it remains to be seen whether things will go any further than that. Plymouth have put Kamara on the transfer list after he made it clear he would not be extending his current deal. That ends in 2023. However, it remains to be seen how much they are expecting in terms of a transfer fee for the player. They said in a statement recently, Kamara has been made available for transfer away from home park. Extended talks have been going for a number of months regarding significantly improved deal for the international, but talks have now ended with the 25-year-old's representatives confirming that Kamara will not be signing a new deal at Argyle.
Now, for me, this is where the Luongo thing comes into play, because he could play that Luongo role really well. And he absolutely skinned Palmer at their place on like multiple occasions, kind of thing. And I think he's one of the ones I'd like to, when they look at, he's 25 years old, he knows the league already. It just, I don't know.
Would he go championship though?
I don't know. I don't know if that's could do, because of it being for championship. This could be a decent deal to do.
He's 25. He's a really good age. I'd have him at Wednesday.
Yeah,
I would have him at Wednesday because we have got injury-prone players, and the midfield. You'd say we are quite loaded in the midfield, but we need players that we're going to bring through. We only probably need one or two.
Also,
if you're looking long term.
Remember, we've got to see what Alex Hunt can do this season.
Yeah,
got a year.
It's true. I've seen some reaction on fans not being too happy that he's not signing a new long-term deal, and that's why he was transfer listed, so they're going to cash in on him. I can't find anything on the other clubs interested in him currently, which is you would imagine that it would be some championship interest.
Yeah,
because the championship's always looking at League One.
I think last Plymouth player we had as well was Reader.
God, it's been so long. Did we get Reader from Plymouth?
Yep.
Mental. How have I managed that? I accidentally did the boomer thing and put my camera full screen again. I'm getting old. Well, you know, they don't want a player there that doesn't want to be there. We only finished a couple of places above them, and as you said, they skinned us a couple of times. Plymouth were not a fun team to play last season. No. They got the best of us. I would take him. Let's have a look at some of his stats overall. He's played for Plymouth since 2020. Before that, he made 103 appearances for Crawley Town, making 6 goals in that time. He scored 6 goals in 80 appearances for Plymouth, and 4 of them came this season just gone. So I think he's coming to a point where he's going to hit the peak of his career, isn't he?
Mm.
You know, and he's come up through the leagues. He started non-league.
Yep.
You got to respect that.
And it's the right kind of age for us to be looking at if we're wanting to bring stuff down.
Yeah. Should we do his FIFA card?
Yeah, go on.
Well, he's got 71 potential, but we'll actually do his card. He is a 67 overall. I think he's a silver. He is a silver. 81 pace, that's decent. Take that. 83 acceleration, 80 sprint speed. 61 shooting, not so amazing. Passing, 62. Vision, 66, okay. Short pass, 67. We can work on it. Dribbling, 67. Defending, 62 with 64 interceptions. So he'd be pretty solid in the midfield. Physical, 74. 72 strength. 90 stamina. So that's all right, actually. Aggression, 62. So I would use him in FIFA. And I would actually think he would be a nice addition for our midfield. You've got to think, though, our midfield's going to be quite heavy. There's Adeniran, there's Fizz, There's
Byers.
Hunt, as you've just said. There's Byers. There's Bannon. There's Luongo. Probably Luongo's off, but
rotation though. If you think about how we're hoping for not an injury hit squad like we've had this season, but there have been times where we've had the injuries and we've like, who can play where?
Yeah, I'll take him. Right. Here's where we get the, well, it's not got anything to do with the club, so why are you talking about it? And I don't even think in the title of this one I will go. And because I don't, right? People love to say we clickbait. Everybody loves to say we clickbait. There's some really grumpy old men out there, all right? I never do. I always put a question mark, right? And I always ask a question because that's the question we're asking in the video. You just need to calm down, all right? Calm down. So this is to do with another club, but it's got heavy Wednesday links because he's probably the most loved Wednesday manager of recent times, and that's debatable again. Carlos Carvalhal set for Crunch Braga talks amid Blackburn Rovers manager links. This is from Lancashire Live. Carlos Carvalhal will hold talks with Braga at the end of the season during as his contract draws to the end, following links with Blackburn Rovers. Now we can update this story, actually, because it's confirmed just now, really, today, the recording of this podcast, that Braga have actually released him. They haven't agreed on a contract, so it's been on the Twitter of Braga. Back to the article. The former Swansea and Sheffield Wednesday boss is keen on a return to England. And because of that, links have been made to, this is not from the article, this is our words, but because of that, there's been links to Blackburn and Burnley.
Yeah.
So, first I've got to ask the question before we talk Sheffield Wednesday about it. Blackburn or Burnley, which would you think would be more of a Carlos fit?
Burnley, I think.
Yes and no. Because you've got players like Diaz at Blackburn. Yeah. And I reckon Carlos could work with that Blackburn squad, and what I've seen with that Blackburn squad, it fits it a little bit more.
Yeah.
But then again, he loves a wide midfielder and not a winger, doesn't he? So Burnley probably is the shout.
Yeah. It'll be an interesting one which team gets him, because we know what he can do. And I've already seen Burnley fan go, look at how many clubs he's had. We had the exact same thing when he came to us, trust me. We were all like, look how many clubs he's had. We've had a really good spelling late.
He's done really well at Braga as well.
Yeah. He's done incredible, really. He got them into the Europa and got them very close to getting to a final. But it'll be interesting to see where he goes, because it never did work out at Swansea. He said in the past that maybe that was the wrong decision to take that. Maybe I should have stayed a little bit longer at Wednesday to get it all sorted and leave in a better way. But it's going to be interesting to go to, because if you go to Burnley or Blackburn, you've got the situation that two clubs who have two managers in for a very long period of time, in Sean Dyche and Tony Over. You're going to need to give him at least possibly a year or so to get what he wants right, and give him time.
The one thing that I will say to prospective fans of Burnley and Blackburn, there is this thing amongst Wednesday. We've got affinity for him. Obviously, I'd have him back at Wednesday in a heartbeat, because you look at the bigger picture and you're like, yes, of course. But there is this thing that, like, well, I don't really buy into this much anymore, because we still have ridiculous injuries. But they used to say that he works players in a weird way and he rushes them back and all of that, and you end up with big problems, big wages, and injured players. Because Wednesday have continued with injured players, I've kind of bought into that less and less and less over the years, because either all of our managers are overtraining them, or we were looking into it a little bit too harshly at the time because we thought the grass was greener.
Carlos had done a lot better at a lot of his clubs as well, with promoting youth as well, with something that he didn't do well at Wednesday either. He seemed to trust a youth academy product more. And the big one I will say, actually, in all of this kind of thing, if Carlos does go anyway, be nice, leave Barry Bannon alone, leave him at Sheffield Wednesday.
Oh, no, I will.
You're not getting the band back.
Get away. Get away. You're not having Bannon back. Carlos, you will be hated by the whole fan base if you rip
exactly.
Barry Bannon from us. Don't do that. I want to pivot this, obviously, to do a Wednesday slant on it. Could you see him back at Wednesday? Not as many. I don't think the reason I'm approaching this, I think like right now, if he was to come back to English football, there is always the director of football approach. Could he come in and do, work? He would be above Darren Moore then technically, but I guess that's just the quirky Wednesday angle I'm trying to bring it into.
I don't know. Because I always had that whole thing is, I wouldn't have him as a manager. I don't like managers. As much as I love him, I'm not a big fan of having managers return when they've gone. I think it sometimes can foil the legacy that they've had if the second spell, because sometimes you'll only remember that second spell and not the first spell if it goes badly. He did have a okay eye at finding players, let's be honest. And he did have a lot of help with that, because that's when we had the road transfer committee and stuff. And
it's not how I remember it, Jake. Come on. Think about how bad our recruitment was.
No, it was bad, don't get me wrong, but we did get some and he got some players working well. Look, we got Zhao, probably got him way too soon in his career, but he got it working. Bannon came. You had that first season when we got to the playoffs, good recruitment. After that, the recruitment kind of died off a bit.
Well, I think the recruitment was dreadful, because what we did is we threw a lot at the wall and sort of said, and had a look at what would stick, right? And some of it stuck, and some of it just made a foul stench, and then burdened
some
us.
Some of it stuck and some of it stunk.
Yes, exactly, and burdened us for quite some time. Jordan Rhodes, like the money that went to these players.
We all remember that Matthias Lico, let's just say that.
The Forestieri one was interesting for me because he wasn't on our radar, but I've always rated Forestieri. And I was so shocked when we signed Forestieri because I was like, oh, this is where we're signing players that I know and want us to sign. This is weird.
Yeah.
Right.
The worst one, the Alban Abdi, and then the AC Milan player we got, or ex-AC Milan player, Dutch defender, I want to say.
What was his name?
You're all screaming in your cars right now, Els.
I can picture him in that stupid photo he had when he signed for the club, and that was the only time we ever saw him. He like jogged out once.
He had Urban Emanuelson.
Yeah, him.
Yeah. I think
he did well, didn't he?
Yeah. When you think about recruitment, that's the play like I think, oh yeah, we really did do poorly.
Yeah, so as long as Blackburn, Burnley, you've got a good recruitment system around you, and you probably, Burnley especially probably do have, you, as a coach, a head coach, Carlos is great. Players love him. Wallace did say towards the end of his time that a few of the players were turning him against him, like, we're sick of this guy now. I found that a bit weird, because obviously I do rate Wallace, I do like Wallace, but it was weird to hear him talk about Carlos in that way, especially with the hot. I don't think that was echoed throughout the whole squad, because there's been players that have said very different things about him since. So, I don't know. I don't really want to see him back in the English game. It's gonna make me sad. But all the best to him wherever he does go, be it Blackburn or Burnley, because he is good enough to go to either of those clubs. Yeah.
And as it stands, do Burnley stay up?
Nah. I don't know. It's rough, innit? I kind of what's going to relegate Leeds if Burnley stay up?
Red cards. Leeds themselves.
Yeah. Who can relegate Leeds on Sunday? I don't really care. Like this is why I'm different. To be honest, Leeds aren't like this, but United fans are. I don't obsess over other clubs, being Sheffield Wednesday. So Burnley have got a game in hand, haven't they? So yeah, I want Burnley to stay up. Yeah, they're going to stay up because they've got a game in hand and Leeds. They're a point behind. Win their game in hand. Yeah. Burnley and Everton. Oh, Leeds are in real trouble.
Exactly.
Because Everton and Burnley are around them.
Yeah.
And they've got a game in hand.
They both got games in hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Everton have got a point more than them.
But Everton have got those 2 red card suspensions that they've got to serve as well. So
yeah, Everton have also got City coming up. Haven't they?
Yeah.
However, they're going to have to put in I think Newcastle have got City as well, haven't they? I don't remember. Because if City got 2 games to play. No, they've got 1 more game. Is it Newcastle at the end of the day? I don't know. I just watch it when it's on the TV. No, they've got Villa. City have got Villa. They've just had West Ham. Where did I get Newcastle from? 8th of May. Yeah, my clock's all the way off, mate. Like, my brain is just frying. I need a break. Yep. I'm going to get a break soon. It'll be okay. It'll be okay. That's all I've got this week. How are you? You good?
From me as well, yeah. Good.
Yeah? Anything more? We'll bring the community topic back. I've got a plan for next week's episode. It might not be fully topical. It might be. We might do some cut-ins, but I've got a plan for what I want to do.
It will be a little bit topical. I have a funny feeling we'll have our retain list out by then.
No, it won't, because we're doing something else. Because we're probably not going to record on the Monday. So, however, we might put the retain list stuff in because I reckon that's coming out this week.
Yeah, so annoyingly.
Anyway, I know we probably can record Monday. We'll see. It won't affect you. You'll get a podcast. Yeah. But that's it for episode 68 of the Talkie Wednesday podcast. Thank you, as always, for your support. And be safe until we see you in the next episode.
See ya.